Ready to make a real impact every day? Join the Active Day Home Care team and help clients maintain their independence in the comfort of their own homes. Make a difference in someone's life as you provide essential daily assistance and protect their health and happiness. Earn up to $20 an hour and enjoy additional perks like optional daily pay, 401k, paid time off, ongoing educational training, and more. Join a team that values care, compassion, and your professional growth. Visit activeday.com to apply.
The following podcast is brought to you exclusively by the Rad Rob Radio Network.
On this edition of Straight Up 5 with Johnny Petraglia Jr., we welcome the man that I call Larry Legend, the real Larry Legend, the Litch, Larry Lichstein, PBA Hall of Famer, NEBA Hall of Famer, USBC Hall of Famer, Connecticut Bowling Hall of Famer. If there's a Hall of Fame, he's in it, and he should be. We can't wait to hear some stories from Larry about when he met Johnny Petraglia Sr. for the first time, way back in the late 60s. What it was like to be the player services rep on the PBA Tour for so many years. An innovator and pioneer in ball drilling and techniques and mechanics and equipment. I'm telling you, this guy can do it all. We can't wait to get to it. So, without further ado, it is time. The player intro, at least. Straight Up 5 with Johnny Petraglia Jr. starts now.
This is PBA champion Kyle Troop.
Hey y'all, Jacob Ledrup here.
Hey guys, Chuck Ritchie here, formerly of Bowl TV.
Hey guys, this is Ryan Schaefer of track staff at Valley Bowling Center in Waverly, New York.
And you're listening to Straight Up 5 with Johnny Petraglia Jr.
Yo, the boys from Straight Up 5, Rad Rob, Dr Ocho, and of course JP Jr.
As you know, JP Jr. used to be introduced as the sexiest man in bowling and now the world. But he doesn't have the best hair in the world. I do. Sorry, bud, but you know the deal. Pick it out. Fear the fro, baby.
Welcome to Straight Up 5 with Johnny Petraglia Jr. A hard-hitting, in-depth, cutting-edge look into the world of bowling. This podcast will not only cover all things bowling, but will also give you a raw look into real-life issues. You'll get unfettered access into the mind of one of the most gifted bowlers of this or any other generation.
Strike, and they claim it. Somebody does it!
So without further ado, let's introduce you to the hosts of the show. Rad Rob, Rob Francois. Rad Rob, Rob Francois. Dr Ocho. Dr Ocho. And the incomparable Johnny Petraglia Jr. Johnny Petraglia Jr.
Hey guys, welcome back to Straight Up 5 with Johnny Petraglia Jr. I am your host, Rad Rob, Rob Francois. This is episode number 159. We have a very special guest, as we always do. I'm super excited for this one, but before we bring our hosts in, let's see who's in the chat here. We got Nico Pujar, our in-house reporter. What's going on, Nico? Weekly check-in on Rob and his progress on working on Daria. You guys are killing me. Pete Cow's in the house. What's going on, brother? What's going on? It's good to see you. Good to see you. Who else we got here? Nobody wants to chat. That's fine. We got plenty to talk about. I don't want to talk to you guys either. That's okay. I do. I love that. By the way, regarding Mr. I got an update on Kyle Troop. But you got to stay tuned to the end of the show to hear about that. Let's bring in my first co-host. He is the man with the golden mask. He is straight out of Ochoville, the resident hack from Howell Lanes in Howell, New Jersey. Our resident doctor, the one and only Dr. Ocho. What's going on, Och? How do you maintain the peaks when not being in the gym since COVID?
Come on. There's always peakzilla going on. When you're blessed like this, you said there's a Hall of Fame.
Jealous.
There's a peak Hall of Fame, and Larry's in it. Go ahead. Let's see what polio should have done to you. Come on, bring it.
CDB is in the house. What's going on? What's going on?
And happy birthday, Nicole.
Now the guests. Now our chat shows up. Troy Linton, U.S. champs in the house. What's going on, brother? Nicole's in the house. Hold on, let's.
Troy, I hope we go 5-12. By the way, I hope he tears his Achilles on the 5th play of the game.
Steelers suck. I don't want to hear it. PD, what's going on? Patrick Dombrowski's in the house. What's going on, dude? Our favorite pro. I don't want to talk to you anymore. Let's bring in JP. Here is the man who is number 7 in your program, number 1 in your hearts, the sexiest man in the world, the one and only Johnny Petraglia Jr. What up, JP?
Always a pleasure, gentlemen. Great to be here, as always.
You do.
I really like the intro today. I did. I really enjoyed it.
You done did.
You look fabulous, bro. You're definitely lifting again. I can certainly tell. Maybe it's all that working out in the backyard, getting it ready.
He's lifting his pool.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, it's working.
The pool's open.
A great shot of the umbrella. That was good.
Well, if it wasn't raining out, but now we're talking.
Yeah.
I do. Oh, criminy. Now I got to reset. All right, I'll be back in 3 hours.
Cool.
As always, we have a very special video package for first-time guests. So let's take a look at the career of the one and only Larry Lichstein.
Live and in color, shaking hands is Ski Feremski there, playing against Larry Lichstein in our third match. Here's the way it went. Earl Anthony defeated John Petraglia in the first game, so John has $3,000. Then Earl Anthony faced Ski Feremski. He lost that one, but he picked up $3,500. Now we're in our third game. It's Ski Feremski and Larry Lichstein.
All 5 players chose to start on the right lane so that they could finish on the left lane.
Here's young Larry Lichstein from Windsor Locks, Connecticut.
We might aptly call him, because of his crooked arm delivery, the left-handed Don Carter. Watch as he takes it back. Right.
Typical of the kind of action you see on the Professional Boulders Tour. We got a lot of other great tournaments coming up next week. It's the $70,000 Andy Granatelli STP Classic. But here it goes. Larry Lichstein needs a strike, and Dave won't even watch.
Pounding. He's the winner, Larry Lichstein, and a 2:30 Larry Lichstein, the champion. Thank you very much, and here we are, Larry Lichstein with this tremendous trophy. Dave Stapleton, of chairman of the board of Evanites, presenting it. Did you want the trophy first, or do you want the check for $10,000 first, Larry?
Well, my wife knows I better give her the check and keep the trophy.
Okay, here's the check for your wife.
Thank you very much, bud.
And you know what? Nice guys, really straight hand. Here he deserves it, doesn't he? Really good. Just straight. Larry, tell me, you really showed me a heap out there for a 21-year-old, your first national television appearance. Did that bug you at all?
No, Bud. Earlier in the week, I came out here and practiced, and I hit him pretty good. And I've been very confident with the help of a few personal friends back home. Mr. Henry Caven has helped me out tremendously. And one of the things I think...
Dave with that trophy, too.
We'll be glad to.
Down with that, I think.
One of the things I think that have helped me tremendously is keeping good habits and eating good. I used to be kind of wild and not eat 3 squares a day and whatnot, and it caught up with me. A lot of times in the morning I'd get out there and I couldn't even see the marks on the lane. I was so tired,
he's like a Dave Stapleton for a 21-year-old. He's talking about us old fellas.
Yeah, it sounds like it, doesn't it?
Wasn't it great, though? Really was.
Wonderful, Larry, and Evanites delighted.
On last week's bowling tip of the week, Larry Lichstein showed us how to drill the ball off the center of the label so that we could create 1 ounce of side weight and more hook. Larry's back this week to show us a little bit different way of creating 1 ounce of side weight. Larry?
Nelson, what we've done here is we've set the weight block 45 degrees perpendicular to the track. In essence, we've made this ball illegal. But what we're going to do is we're going to add an axis weight hole, take the illegal weight out, bring the ball down to 1 ounce of positive side weight. If you will, the weight block will be gyrating as it goes down the lane, wobbling, similar to a tire out of balance, yet the ball will be legal.
All right, Larry, I've got it here. If I drill my holes up here and set the weight block to the side, it would actually have 3 or 4 ounces of side weight. That'd be illegal. You drill an extra hole in the side to bring it down to 1 ounce, and this creates more power rolling down the lane.
No question, the ball will hit.
All right, an exotic ball weight from Larry Lichstein. It's more effective. See your local pro shop dealer to get your bowling ball.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's my esteemed honor and privilege to welcome the one and only Larry Lichstein. Litch, what's going on, brother? Thanks for being here.
It's wonderful. You guys are great. I didn't expect that. That's absolutely wonderful. Honored to be with all of you. You know, I watched the show and dreamed that maybe I'd get on one day. You know, you have so many heavy hitters, you know, Belmo and all these guys, and all of a sudden here I am. So thank you so much for allowing me to be with you. It's truly an honor. Really is.
Well, it's an absolute honor to have you here with us, Larry. Speaking personally from knowing you for my entire life, and just to have you here, to have that brain here to give us however much of your time you can, it's really, truly an honor to have you here. Rob, Oach, did you guys want to get going, or did
I did $10,000 in 1968, 1969. When was that tournament?
Well, there was so many, you know. The tournament I won, of course, Johnny Sr. made that telecast. I had a chance to win 4 other times before that one. And they were pretty much normal events. But the one in San Jose was not normal. It was, to this day, it was the only tournament where the 16 finalists were left-handed. And none of us wanted that. As it turns out, it's just the way it was. 2 weeks later from that day, that was February 6th that you saw. February 20th, Johnny's dad beat me for his first televised PBA title. 14 days later in Winston-Salem. So you could see in the San Jose shot, he's hugging me. And 2 weeks later, I finished second to him and we're hugging each other. And a year earlier, we won a USBC Eagle together in a team event. So when I watched that, you know, it just flashes back to quite a wonderful time to be young, you know, and be with great stars like Ernie and Johnny and Mike McGrath and Butch Gerhardt, and, of course, the tour players of that day that were legends, you know, Weber and Salvino, and, you know, Dave Davis, Dave Sutar, Nelson Burton, Don Johnson. What a list. It just goes on. And I was lucky. I came along at a time where the PBA telecasts were not quite 10 years old. Billy Waylo and Schenkel were the announcers. And, of course, Billy passed away in 74. And then I became player service director of the tour in 75. So that's when Bo came in. So I literally, was around for Whaley and Schenkel and Burton and Schenkel, and then, of course, in later years, our modern announcers. I've had a wonderful career and fine memories, and somehow survived. I'm a cancer survivor twice. Got a heart condition now. The last time I was talking to Johnny, we were comparing heart medications. I said, I take this statin. He says, I take that one. I take clopidogrel. I take that one. We're both comparing heart medicines. 60 years ago when we met, we were young and ready for the tour, and all of a sudden we're talking about our hearts. The last time we were on the phone, it's like, yeah, okay. But we're healthy, we're here, and that's the best thing, is to be with you. Just wonderful. Absolutely wonderful.
That's still a hell of a payout for that year, man. I mean, that's I don't count anybody's money, but that's in terms of the year, the stat, like that's a great payout for a win.
Well, I
don't even think they pay it out now.
Let me tell you how crazy it was. People don't know this. When I signed with AMF in March of 70, they gave you 5 different contracts to choose from. One was $300 a month and equipment. One was $5,000 if you make TV.
All right, real quick. Now, the year is what?
1971, but I signed with them a year earlier. One contract was you get $200 a month, and if you make the finals in a major, they'll pay all your expenses. But the contract I chose was the craziest one of all. 0 money. 0 if you made TV. But if you won, they had to equal the check.
Oh, wow.
So when I struck, it was a $14,000 strike. First place was 10, second was 6. So if I don't strike, I finish 6th. But if I do strike, I get 20. Now, 2 weeks later, I bowled Johnny for the title. He beat me 202 to 196. So I got 0 for finishing second. But if I win it, if I win, I get 10,000 for first and another 10,000 bonus. So I would have made 40,000 in 14 days. I was 6 pins away from 40,000.
Ballsy. That is so ballsy to eat.
Well,
oh my God. See, this is
I didn't think I'd make.
We never talk money with people. That's the thing.
I didn't think I'd make a lot of shows. I was hoping for 1 or 2. I knew I was capable of it, but the people I was bowling against, forget it. It was just, there was 30 guys that were all in the PBA and USBC Hall of Fame.
That's what you'd probably take the lesser contract then, though.
No,
you're gambling on yourself.
No, the $300 a month was nothing. The $300 a month you can make bowling pro-ams. So my philosophy was I wanted to buy a house and I wanted the money real quick. And lo and behold, I started the winter with nothing. At the end of the winter, I had $50,000 with my bonus money. I won the Landgraf in Manhattan. I bowled 2 syndicated TV shows, one with Johnny called Best of Bowling in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, and one called Pinpoint in Detroit. And I made right at $50,000. And in June, I bought a condo and I paid cash for it. So it was wonderful. I started the winter tour living in an apartment. And at the end of the winter tour, I had a brand new condo. So it was pretty cool. I won a condo. How's that one?
No, and think about this. This day and age, it's probably about $500,000 or $600,000. It's got to. That's how the ratio.
Yeah,
maybe even more.
I drive by
the way it's going up.
Yeah, I drive by it every once in a while and eat my heart out.
Oh shit!
Litch, when you were on,
that wasn't the intention.
I gotta know about Lichco. I gotta know the backstory about it. The idea, how everything came to be. For those of you that don't know this part of the Litch, the legendary Litch, if you can share how that entire baby kid came to be born.
Well, what happened was when I became player service director, Harry Golden had told me, what my duties were. And after the summer of 74, I was bored. It was easy. But I was allowed to earn extra income. And I decided to bring out a drill press in the fall of 74, and I had the 2 balls I used in the Tournament of Champions where I finished 8th in that TSC. Johnny led it and Earl beat him. And I says to Johnny, I want you to throw this ball that I used. It was a red crown jewel that had been plugged about 20 times. And I had another one that I drilled for Dave Davis. And they went the last 4 tournaments of the fall. The lowest they finished was 3rd with these 2 balls.
Larry,
I brought it out in the winter.
Is that the ball my dad used in the World Open against Earl when he beat him? That
Yeah,
like, had 20 plugs
yes.
in it?
Yes, and his birthday was on it. It had no serial number, so we engraved 3347. So he's got a bowling ball with his birth date on it. That used to be mine that was resurfaced so many times it didn't have a label. And that's the one he beat Earl with. And we go out that winter, and I bring the press with me, and the righties, they won't have me drill the ball because I'm a lefty. And Jay Robinson brings a yellow dot into the locker room in New Orleans and puts his hand out in front of him like this and says, "Just drill me a ball, Litchy. I don't care what you do. I don't care what you put in it. I haven't cashed for a month." So I drill it, and he leads the tournament at Pelican Lanes. And Burton interviews him and says to him, "Well, Jay, you hadn't cashed in a month. Now you're the tournament leader. You're going to bowl 1 game for the title. What's the reason?" And he says, 2 words, Larry Lichstein. "If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here." Well, the next week, there's 20 right-handers standing in line. They're all holding bowling balls, and they're all putting their hand out. And 3 weeks later, Weber leads with a ball in Springfield, Virginia. Davis wins Milwaukee and wins the Tournament of Champions. And he tells the press and media that I'm the reason. And everybody says to me, "Litch, go out and buy a bus, build a pro shop, and you'll become rich." So I did. I went out to New Haven, Connecticut, and I bought a Greyhound that had 750,000 miles on it. And I gutted the seats, and I put a drill press in the back, and I lived up front with Ann and Michael, and we started the summer tour of 75, and I was drilling a few balls here and there. Then we got to Pittsburgh, and it was the Columbia 300 Open, and General Zeller was there to hand out the trophy. Salvino won the tournament, and he had about 85 Ps left. They were the best plastic ball ever made, and he gave them to me, and I proceeded to sell them for $50 a ball in 1 hour and made $4,000. And then Columbia said, "We're going to give you 24 balls a week for the fall. Can you drill them?" I said, "Absolutely." And then Brunswick called me and said, "We're coming out with the LT-48 in the fall. We're going to hand out 100 in Battle Creek. Can you drill them?" I said, "Absolutely." And then Ebonite called and said, "We're going to give you 24 balls." And AMF called. And that first tournament in the fall of 75, I drilled 200 balls. I made $10 a ball, and they equaled it. So I made $4,000 in that tournament, and every tournament that fall, Brunswick handed out 100 to 150 LTs, and I made $20 a ball. Well, the PBA was only paying me $750 a tournament, and the ball drilling all of a sudden was making me $2,000 a week. So I went from making literally nothing as a bowler to $3,000 a week as player service director within a year and a half after I signed my contract. And by 76, everybody was coming to me, and it was insane. And I was getting interviewed every week by a newspaper or a handheld live team for local sports. And then Dressel called me up and wanted me to write an article for the Bowler's Journal. I flunked every year of English and spelling, so I would talk it into a tape deck, and then Dressel would write the article, and then he called it Tour de Force, and then I came out with the Ball Reaction Guide. And by the late 70s, I was a celebrity. I didn't want to be a celebrity. I just wanted to feed my family like everybody else. But it was fun being a celebrity. I mean, everywhere I went, people knew me. And I, of course, lived in the back of the bowling center, and my neighbors were Earl Anthony and Ernie Schlegel and Pete Couture and Bill Spigner and Larry Lobb and Dennis Lane. And we had a fine group of professionals, Tommy Hudson, John Wilcox, all had RVs. We had a wonderful, wonderful life together, traveling the road. And, of course, then Earl started to become great, and then Roth, and then our ratings started to skyrocket. And then, Johnny was in his prime, and Davis and Burton, and our shows were out of this world. The ratings beat golf every Saturday, and we knew it. You know, we were thrilled, and I was there at this great time. And you know, life went on, and then finally I sold in '96 and had to live a normal life the last 28 years. It took me a long time to get used to it. One of the things right now that I believe is my savior is I'm sober 78 months. The 15th of every month I add a month. So I'm sober, and it's helped me tremendously with my illness. I was diagnosed with prostate cancer, and they told me it might have been terminal. I had a PET scan. I went through the radiation. Somehow I beat it. And that's my biggest victory. You know, the strike at San Jose was real good, but to beat cancer, that's a victory from God. So I'm the luckiest man in the world right now with you guys. I'm 76. I'm healthy. Could reminisce with all of you. And what could be better than that?
You want to know the other thing that I personally think that you're lucky about is I'm envisioning you in the 70s drilling 200 rubber bowling balls on the bus, and just imagining the smell and the amount of soot coming from the rubber bowling balls. For anybody that's never been around a rubber bowling ball being drilled, tell them, Litch.
Well, they're
like a burning tire or something?
Well, they're horrible. They were loaded with carcinogens. In fact, the ebonite balls back then were loaded with asbestos. Were loaded with asbestos byproducts. Came from a brake shoe manufacturer in New Jersey. And they got sued and lost a case, went out of business. A guy in California got lung cancer from it and died and won the case. I thought about that, for many years. But my lungs, for whatever reason, and I don't know why, are 100% clear. I don't have any symptoms of anything like that. But those balls, all of them, from the 60s and 70s, were extremely unhealthy. They were byproducts, okay? And we didn't know any better.
You introduced so many carcinogens that your body warded it off. You drilled so many rubber balls that your body was like, all right, now I'm immune. You gave yourself your own vaccine, basically.
Well, I'm not going to tell everybody what I did, but there was a lot of carcinogens. There was a lot of carcinogens. There was a lot of carcinogens that haven't killed me. I don't know why, but whatever the reason, like I say, I'm very healthy. And, our industry is a great industry, and they treated me as good as anybody in the world when I was player service director. All the companies, the PBA, the players, the manufacturers, the sponsors, very lucky to have had the life I had. But I'm very confident now about my life. I live a very simple life. I live stream 4 days a week. I'm going to be taking another position here at the Bowl. I like to work. I like to work about 30 hours a week, keeps me active. I got some hobbies. I got an old RV I'm restoring, which I love to work on. It's 53 years old. It's got an old Oldsmobile engine in it, and I fool with it every day. And I'm very, very lucky. Many men my age in recent years have died that I've known. So when I beat cancer twice in a heart condition, I just look up and say thank you. Try to live every day to the fullest.
It's funny. I'm 49, but when I was hanging around Bradley Bowl, you were on tour, so I never got to see you. But I was friends with your son Mike for many, many years. We've known each other for forever. And a tremendous bowler. We always talk about how great your son is on this show, and how well he would have done on tour if he wanted to go out there, but still made a pretty good living bowling NEBAs and everything else he did around New England. But and I'm telling you that the genes in the Lichstein family are pretty exceptional. Because your son is just as good as you, if not better. It's at one point.
Well, he had a unique career, very unique and very different. What molded him was he was at 200 PBA stops from 1972 to 1986. A lot of people don't know that, and he traveled every summer with me in that bus. 74, 5, 6, 8, 9, 80, 81, 82. He made friends in every city. He bowled every week in junior pro-ams. He probably bowled on a tour about 150 junior pro-ams in his life. He was best of friends with Johnny and Dave Davis and Earl and Mark Roth and Dick Weber and Carmen and Marshall, Mike Albee, all the great stars, Pete Weber, knew them all. He had friends in every city. And when he started to get good, he asked me, he said, Dad, do you think I should turn pro? And I said to him, well, you know what the life is. I said, if you can live in a hotel room 36 weeks a year, eat at Denny's and, travel, go 0 for 4, go into week 5 with a sore throat, the lanes are wide open on the left and you don't cash, tell me how you're going to feel. And if you can do that, go out and do it. He says, Dad, I don't think I can do that. And I said to him, then stay home, become a weekend warrior, and enjoy bowling for what it gives you. The Northeast is a bastion of tournaments, great competition, and just enjoy it for what it gives you. You got the house with me and your mother. So, he starts to bowl adult events. We don't know exactly what's going to happen, but at the same period of time, I started backing him. And then in 87, he went to Atlantic City, went 10-1 in a high roller, lost the championship match to George Tigner. So he made a pretty good hit him for 20,000. Well, we sent him out to Vegas in 88, and he went 11-0 and won 200,000. So he's 19. He goes 21-1 in back-to-back high rollers, makes $250,000 those 2 years. And then I looked at him and I said, well, Mike, what do you want to do? You want to turn pro? And he looked at me. He says, Dad, this is all I need. I says, I know. Just keep doing this, Mike. You'll have longevity. You'll have a family. You'll have the good things in life. You've set your life up. And, he went on to won about 160 tournaments in his life, still winning.
Still winning.
So this year he's won 4 times. He's 57. He's very, he takes the right tournaments. He's not out to show off. He knows he's going to enter some wrong events, so he doesn't. He's bowling a lot of senior stuff. Put his daughter through college, and she's going to be a clinical psychologist in Boston next year.
Wow.
Was asked to leave Bradley Bowl. They turned it into a full FEC, so now he's a manager of a golf course with a family that he's known for 40 years and works Southern Auto Auction over there in South Windsor for Larry Treble. Larry Treble sells 300 cars every Wednesday, and Mike has a job there during the week. So normal jobs, but excellent weekend warrior, a great father, a wonderful man, and we owe everything to bowling. We talked about it at Christmas. We were sitting there Christmas Day, and Parker Bone calls us out of nowhere. And we're talking to Parker. We love him and his children and wife.
Yeah.
And just what bowling did for us, 2 regular people, not highly educated, gave us a life. And we're both just happy, we're happy men. We have our days where we grieve like everyone else. My wife passed away many years ago. Every once in a while I'll have a bad day, and every once in a while the phone rings and a good friend has left us. But, you try to get every day to the fullest now at our age, at 76 and up. And I want to get into my 80s. I think I can get there. Trying real hard,
I think you're doing just fine. Larry, before we bring in a little special treat, I have a question for you. Just based off what you said to Mike, because obviously, I bowled against Mike. I've looked up to Mike for a long time. What is your advice for aspiring bowlers now? Because you no longer have the $200,000 high rollers. The tour is no longer, comparably speaking, to what it was in yours and Dad's heyday. What is your advice for the really, really, really awesome kids, in those teenage years right now?
I would say to them, cherish every minute, because it's going to go by real quick. And I'm sitting here tonight and I'm thinking about 55 years ago and what it meant to me to win a couple of Eagles and win on TV and bowl as a touring pro and bowl with living legends at that time. It goes by quick. Next thing you know, you're at 40 and you're slowing down, and now those kids are beating you. And then at 50, you're thinking about the senior tour. You're not thinking about the young tour anymore. And then all of a sudden, you're 60, 65, and you know it's over. Cherish it for what it gives you. Don't blame the sport for what it doesn't give you. And that was one of my faults. I quit because I was mad, and I had to feed my family, and I wasn't good enough to strike. And in turn, bowling gave me something I never dreamed of. And the next thing I knew, I wasn't mad anymore. I had another career. And it's given me a life. And I'm the prime example. I'm the guy that started at 17 and started bowling a PBA event at 18 and is still doing it at 76. It's given me a life like no other. I coach, I teach. I'm going to be drilling a little again. I announce I have a great live stream. And bowling gives for life. Bowling is the sport that gives. And I'm proof. So when you think, the game's bad, or you're mad at two-handers, or you're mad about this or mad about that, put it behind you. Try to take the game for what it gives you. Try to last. Try not to give up. Try to wait and be patient. Try to get better. I use Pete Couture as an example. In his 20s and early 30s, people laughed at him. He couldn't beat anybody. At 32, he figured out a way, and for the next 35 years, he was a star. He came on late in life. He was an underdog in the early and middle 70s. He won that tournament in 78 in New Orleans, and from then on, he was like a meteor. He's the prime example of someone who never gave up, who became great. So there's always room. There's always a chance that you might catch it at 30 or 35, and you still got 15 years before you're a senior. I think of Gene Stuss, never bowled a senior tour, come out at 50, was the greatest 50-year-old bowler in the world. Nobody knew who he was. And we see it now with our own John Rakoski, who's from right up the road. He's a dear friend of mine. Was a banker his whole life, waited till he's 50. All of a sudden, he's got 4 national senior tour stops, a senior U.S. Open win, 5 PBA senior regional wins. Never bowled a PBA event till he was 50. So there you go. It's a game for life. You should treat it that way. And don't be mad at the game. And the biggest problem today is people moan and groan and bitch about two-handers, and they bitch about this and bitch about. They have to understand the game is there waiting for them. Leave the game alone. Just bowl. Bowl for what it gives you. And if you could somehow reason with that, you could have a 40, 50-year career in this game. I think of some of our seniors now still bowling great in their 60s. Look at Pete on a comeback right now again, bowling well. Tom Adcock's fantastic. I mean, look at these guys. They can still do it. The game's still waiting for them.
Well, to anybody that doesn't agree with what Larry just said, you may as well leave now. That's about as spot on as you can get it, man. By the way, I just saw Lenny Borish in the chat. Lenny, great to see you, bro. Hey, legendary Litch, I'll be right back. I'm going to go get the younger, more studly version of me. I'll be right back.
Okay.
You mentioned Pete Couture, and obviously growing up around Bradley, he was our resident pro, and was friends with him since I can remember, since I was a little kid. My mom worked at the bowling alley.
Yeah.
It was very sad to see him pass away early. Hard hit on that one. It's
Yeah, I'm going to walk in the bowl right here. I'm going to show you guys a little something while we're doing this. This is my table where I normally sit, and this is my live stream setup right here. And there's my cameras on, and I got cameras on the ceiling there. There's about 18 of them, and this is where I sit during the week. Right here at my little desk, and I got my my LITCH cam on and all my cameras, and my owner is bowling tonight, the great Robert Eddy. Can I bring him in here for a moment?
Sure.
Hey, let me go over here and bring him in here. Come here, boss. You're going to be on Straight Up 5. I got Robert Eddy with me here, guys.
Hey, what's happening?
My owner. We're doing Straight Up 5 tonight, and this is the legend, Robert Eddy. Rob, there he is.
Yeah, the legend.
And Johnny's going to come right in there right now. We're going to come right in there and talk a little bit.
What's going on?
Yeah.
What's going on, brother? Nice
Man that turned this phone center around. There he is. Look. There.
Litch, how you doing, Litchy? Can you hear me? I guess not. He went solid.
I think we lost him for a second. What's going on, Johnny? Good to see you.
Okay, am I talking now? Yeah.
Yes,
okay.
sir.
Everything's fine. I'm getting ready for Bowl Expo. I got to go get a haircut. And everything else is okay. Is Litchy still on here?
Yeah, I just got him back.
Yeah, I must have lost. Okay. Yeah, I'm back. KJP Hoss.
Okay, Locke, how you doing? How's everything?
I'm all right, bro. I'm still here.
Did you realize?
Good to see you.
Yeah, I got a call from Litchy when we had our 50th anniversary of our first win. The team championship. Did he call you then? I don't know. He called me. I had forgotten completely that it was 1970. So it was really great to hear him. I got a feeling.
Well, Ernie and I, Ernie calls me. He's still telling me everything that's wrong with the PBA. I'm trying to get him to stop. I could say it word for word before the phone rings. When I see Ernie, I know every word he's going to say to me, and he does. He says it over and over for the last 30 years. It's amazing.
Well, I think let the public know just in case. In 1970 and 1972, we won our Eagles in the team events. And, unfortunately, Butch Beerhart is gone and McGrath is gone. And, but the three of us are still hanging in there. And just great. They keep the picture inside the college. Wonderful time.
Well, we were lucky. We were very good, but we also had a chemistry that brought us to a level where we believed we could beat anybody in the world. And when we won in 70, I think you had 2 titles or 1 title. You had one in Arkansas. You didn't have any. I didn't have any. I think McGrath had 3 and Garrett had 4. We had about 7 titles on the team. And all around us, there was, there was Weber and Harry Smith and Salvino and this one and that one. And nobody really gave us much of a chance. And then we won that one. And the next year we were second. Then we won again. Then the next year we were second. So we went 1-2, 1-2 in 4 consecutive years. And it became evident that, we knew how to bowl with one another. It was a great team effort, wonderful team effort.
I think that first year, the final 2 games, we bowled Mazio's team, who had Salvino and Stan Gifford, and I'm trying to remember, but we were so excited. We thought that when McGrath needed a mark for us to win, and he missed the headman and left the 1-2-9. And when he let when he hooked away, but it stayed on line.
No, it wasn't there. Off his hand, it wasn't there, and it faded.
And you jumped on top of you jumped so high you landed on the seat. Just one of the wonderful moments of my bowling career right there. It was great.
Yeah, me too. John, we're very fortunate to both be from the Northeast. I lived in Brooklyn in 57 and 8, went to PS 206. Of course, we never knew that until we met each other years later. And then, we both were an Eagle. And then my first telecast, you hugged me. And 2 weeks later, you beat me and I hugged you. And we hung well together. We were with the same sponsor together. And we did a lot of wonderful things together. But I think when I hugged you in '94 in Toledo, people have asked me about my favorite moment in bowling, and that is my favorite moment when I ran out there. I don't know what possessed me to do that. To this day, I wish I didn't.
Well, what had happened was we talked about it the night before. I had said that I talked to my account and how much it was going to cost the 2 kids to college. And that's impossible. Where am I going to get the money? And you said, well, you could start out with a 300 tomorrow. And that the miracle happened. And that's exactly what happened. I put a certain amount of Munchie and Johns and the rest in Jamie's to create 2 college scholarships, and they both graduated college. It was great.
It was unbelievable. to be together that many years and live the highs and lows, what a gift. I look at it now, it was a gift. There's no doubt in my mind that was divine intervention. All of that literally from the late 60s on. People have asked me, about my life, and I said, it's divine intervention. Even now, last year, not thinking I had a chance to live for a while. And all of a sudden I'm healthy and I'm live streaming and I feel good. I can work. I'm sober. That's divine intervention. There's no doubt about it. 78 months without a glass of Merlot. Did that.
That's it, Larry. Well, it's great to hear that you're doing okay. That's the one.
78,
especially the kind of year that we had where we lose Gary Page and Gruber and the guys and Buckley and stuff. It just it hurts. We got old. I'm 78 now and just want to hang in there. Watch my granddaughter get born.
I'm moving so that we don't. No, let me try here.
Yeah, I got. I have problems, but that's okay. And but Jamie is pregnant with our first child, which is going to come in September. And let me just get past that right now. That would be great. And having John live with me is nice, and it's pretty cool, and things are going good. We're watching. What else can I expect from the sport? I'm still working from Brunswick. Everything is still phenomenal. And just I'll be at Bowl Expo in a couple of weeks, and the black and pin year is my year where my pins for sale, $300 a pin. That goes to the Bowling Hall of Fame. There's money for the Hall of Fame to keep it open, and it's still around. I'm bowling lousy, but everything else is good.
Well, what you've done, I think it's absolutely remarkable what you've done with John Laspina and Brunswick for the Vietnam veterans. I find it one of the most wonderful things I've ever seen in my life. And you were the man, obviously, having gone to Vietnam and been with Brunswick. And all of us knew that, when you would take the lead doing things as president of the PBA and all the things you did. But this last thing here with the BVL is out of this world.
And the
a lot of hard work.
They really did. The PBA put signing advocates on there, AJ Sackett and a bunch of other guys, and to have the TSC got my name on it now, and the showing a senior veteran and a national veteran and then a female veteran, how everybody is affected, and the PBA is doing that now. It's my hat's off to them. Thank God for them. It's helping a lot.
Well, we're lucky to have you, John. I'm lucky to have you. I'm so thrilled about our friendship. It's 59 years I watched you bowl at Central in 2 months. The summer of '66, I've watched him throw to 3-daughter. He got a 2-week break from Fort Smith, and I go in there, and there's Lemon Jello and you and Ernie. And little did I know in my life at the age of 17 that 3 years later, you and Ernie and I would win an Eagle together. And little did I know we'd make TV together and win on television together and all the things we did in our lives. And, of course, we'll throw in the 300 at Toledo and everything else we've done. And we're pretty lucky guys. We came along at a time where bowling was very special on national television, and we were able to meet the stars of the 60s and 70s, where we became best of friends with the men that built professional bowling. And you took over. You were, I think you were the third group. Steffi and Ricker and Zahn and Soupy and Davis were the second group. And then you and George came in and were the third group, and of course Coco was in that second group, and Buckley was in the third group, and Larry Lob. And look at the guys we bowled with. My God, John, they were unbelievable. Unbelievable.
A tremendous career, and it has been, wonderful. and how everybody was so through at that time. That I remember, people ask me all the time, "Who's that guy that tackled you on the 300?" And I have to go about explaining the night before because I don't know. I must have been so charged up that as hard as you hit me, I didn't fall over. It was just.
I thought about it, and I've said to myself, I wish it was somebody like Ducat that ran out, or Commissioner Connor, or somebody. And I don't know what possessed me. I'd watched a lot of shows. I'd already been sitting, next to Harry Golden for 20 years. I was there for McCordick's and Albies and Benoit's, and I don't know. I think it was our relationship at that time, knowing how you had struggled and gone through some real hardships, and I had my hardship the year before when Ann died, and you were very supportive of me and helped me, and really cared about me along with my friends. And for some reason, I jump out there, and then I've watched it, 1,000 times. I said, "What did you do? What did you do? Why did you do this?"
You know what? I want you to do me a favor. If you ever watch the 300 again, I can't remember who it was for me, ABC TV at that time, but he was sitting in about the third row directly behind the pair. And for the entire game, he hardly ever moves for the tiniest of claps because it's almost like he was afraid to clap too loud or to get excited, thinking that I would be thrown off. And every time we watch it, it's just, we watch it all the time, and it's a terrific moment. You have to watch it, and you'll see, oh, here's the guy that gives a little bit of a clap, and then he finally gets excited on the 12th shot because, okay, now, all right, the gloves are off. I can't throw them off TV. It's another one of those moments. And, but all of them were. And you and Ray Edwards and everybody running out, Curtis Odom and George Branham. It was really special. And Burton, naturally. And Schenkel is obviously one of the best. It was just great. Those are one of the things that we forget.
We're so lucky. We were so lucky. Lucky. I got a good friend of mine that went to every single telecast in Erie. Who his name's Mike Quirk. He lives here, and he helps me with my computer. He's the administrator of the Southwest Florida Bowling Circle on Facebook. So he was in the arena that day when Learn shot 300, and you bowled. And I've talked to him about it. And I've sat him in my booth with me many times here and said, what was it like to be sitting there watching Bobby Learn in his hometown, shot 300 in front of 4,000 people. And, of course, he knows the Learn family, he knew Mr. Learn and Tracy and all the people of Erie. And so I got the Erie perspective, right? I've got the North Brunswick perspective, when I would get to Carolier. So it's like, and I got the perspective literally with McCordick's 300 because that was the first one in 13 years from Steffi. Steffi had his in 74. We went 13 years. I used to sit there year after year wondering if I'd ever see a 300 again on TV. And finally, when Pete did it, it was thrilling. I happened to be fortunate enough to be there. And he's a fine man. I'm just my friends that did it, yourself, and obviously Pete. And obviously, Albies in Wichita was great. Albies, Nerves of Steel. It was just lucky for me to be there. And Benoit's. I watched Benoit. That was unbelievable. His first game on national television, 300, $100,000 bonus. We were lucky. We came from quite an era. We really did.
It was a great time. It was, the thing is that. What most people don't know is that writes for the New York Post. He was there the day before when we do the wheelchair doubles event, and I couldn't be there for the Pro-Am because I made the show. It was so weird, and they were all out out there bowling. And then when they found out I made the show, all the veterans said, we can't bowl this game. They're all in wheelchairs. We'll roll into the bar and watch John bowl the game. And then Phil Mushnick said, ABC cameras, unfortunately, were in the wrong place. As exciting as it was, to watch those 12 guys coming out of their chairs with no legs, he said, it's the greatest thing that he ever saw. And,
JP, Eric Forkel jumped in and said he's glad he warmed you up for your 300, by the way. So,
no, that's it, yeah.
So, another lefty to another lefty, I guess.
Yeah, it's, and if we're going to toss Mike Albee into that, it's really a different kind of perspective where the two lefties that shot 300 on TV were both playing way inside on it when they shot it. Just,
they weren't afraid to get their feet right. Yeah. There was no problem getting your feet right and sending it out there and letting it hook. You guys could do that. That was no problem.
It's a great time.
The lefties, unfortunately, took such a beating in the 60s because nobody thought they could play inside. And I'm going to tell you a quick story. You guys are going to laugh so hard about this, but it's a true story. In 1969, the Tournament of Champions shut out the lefties, and Bill Allen was extremely upset. And he had been runner-up to Bowler of the Year in 68 to Jim Stefanich. And Danny Tom from the Akron Beacon Journal interviewed Bill Allen, who had received a $1,000 fine during the 69 Tournament of Champions for complaining about the lane conditions. He said there was no shot on the left, and all the lefties were like 45th, 46th, 47th, 48th. They had no shot. So he makes the fatal mistake in the article of telling Danny Tom these words. Heck, last year, I didn't move my eyes or feet for 36 tournaments.
Oh, shit.
So he plays the 5 board for 36 weeks. He wins 4 tournaments. He's runner-up for Bowler of the Year. So he gets into that Akron the next year, and all they knew was just wipe out 1 through 5, and he ain't going to bowl good. And that's exactly what they did. It was probably a great shot on a third arrow, but nobody moved in. But anyways, he tells the bowling world that he didn't move his eyes or feet for a year. And I'm thinking, why did you say that? Why would you tell everybody you did that? Every righty's 4-2 from pair to pair. Even it's rubber balls and it's not resin. The track's burned up. They're moving all over the lane, and he's telling the whole world he never moved his eyes or feet for a year.
Full roller up 5.
Full roller.
Now getting the biggest kick out of this.
Yep.
Okay. Oh,
I loved him. He was something else. How about him, Johnny? He was the first lefty superstar, and of course Dave came in, and then you, and then Earl. But when Billy,
don't forget
when Billy
won the first one in Paramus when he won the national championship. Roy Lyon was the first one to win anything from the left side that was really big, and that sort of gets washed under the rug too.
Rich Robinette out of Charleston. He beat Rich Robinette out of Charleston, West Virginia. Both guys threw full rollers. That was interesting to watch that show. Both guys had full rollers right up and at him.
Yep. Well,
I loved Roy Lown. Roy Lown was one of my idols growing up. Oh yeah.
Me too. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Great job. And I don't know if everything, great talking to you and the boys here. It's just terrific. I think, in fact, I don't even know where my son went. He sort of got, is he coming back?
Can we change the title to Full Roller Up 5, Rob? Can we do that? Can we get to the art department and go Full Roller Up 5?
Full Roller Up 5.
Vernacular from as he taught me, back in the day, meaning 2 and 1, which I said equals 3. So if we go full roller up 5, we got a new podcast, we got a new direction, we got to go full roller. We're going to take it the right way.
And flex your muscles. Hey, I'm going to
I got, JP.
I'm going to let you guys go. I'm going to give you back to my son. Litchy, I'll talk to you again. I love talking to you, buddy. It's been a long half century for us.
Yeah,
You take care of yourself.
we're both lucky to be here and be on this nice show tonight. Been an honor. Really has been.
Take care. All you guys love you. All right.
Thanks,
You know,
Johnny.
I'll
Love
see
All
you
right,
in
JP.
September. I'll be there as
All right,
always.
JP.
Right.
you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, John.
You got it.
Where else can you get that on Straight Up 5? The legends.
Full roller up 5.
Full roller up 5.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Full roller up 5, baby. Straight up 5.
That's why I love the title. When we thought of a title for the show, I thought Straight Up 5 is perfect. That's back in the day. That's what everybody did.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Back. Enjoying listening.
What's that, John?
I said I was really enjoying listening. That's why it took me so long to come back.
Oh, we were too. I could have done that all night.
So, you know, what's funny is I put my daughter to sleep and I came back outside and I was just actually hanging out in the background, just like not on camera, just listening to the stories going on. I was like, all right, I could do this for a bit.
Yeah, I just sat back
I'm
and
like,
just let
I'm
him
not
talk.
here. I'm taking my daughter upstairs. I'm good. But I'm like, nah, this is gold right now.
You know, when I talk with John, there's 1,000 more memories. We just ran out of time. But the stories of many events were outstanding stories. And watching him in his prime, I'm talking, in the 70s, when he got it going on that 71 winter tour, a lot of people don't realize that after he beat me in Winston-Salem, he made 3 more shows where he didn't win. And then he won the last 3 tournaments of the winter tour, but he was the tournament leader of all 3. So he won 1 game for the title each week, Springfield or New Orleans, Pelican Lanes in New Orleans, Fair Lanes in Springfield, and Riviera Lanes in Akron. So he had made 8 shows in 13 weeks, which is insane. Even in today's standards, as great as Belmonte is and Anthony and obviously EJ.
400 bowlers qualifying through 180 getting in the tournament, especially with you guys' schedule. You had 40-something games every week. It was a grueling schedule.
It was different. And what the most amazing part about those last 3 tournaments is he's the last bowler to do that. It's 54 years. If anybody thinks it's easy to lead 3 in a row and then win each game 3 times, it's only happened once. The last time was 1971. It never happened before it, and it never happened after it.
Because
so as you look at it, well, yeah, but when you look at it now, you'd say to yourself, do you mean to tell me that Belmonte never led 3 in a row and won them or Tackett? No one. Not Walter Ray, no one but Johnny. That's how tough it really is. And that record to me personally, might be his greatest accomplishment, simply because when you only see it one time in 62 years, well, PBA is in its 63rd year of television. It happened one time in 63 years, 54 years ago.
That's the improbability of it. That's why. Yep, I get it. Everybody gets it.
I always thought that was really a crazy highlight too. I know that. Correct me if I'm wrong. I know that Dick Weber won 3 consecutive, but untelevised. But to this day, yeah, Dad is the only one to win 3 consecutive nationally televised events, and to me, that's still
he had to win them twice.
Yeah, it's absurd that
he had to win them twice. He led, and then he had to win again. So when you think of it that way, to me, numbers don't lie. You say, well, last time was 71. This is 2025. Really? No one's done it? 54 years? Someone will do it. The key is, here's the trick. In order to break the record, all you got to do is lead 4 and win 4. I'm not so sure that's going to happen. What a way to win a record that could not be broken. That might be the one. Lead 4 and win 4. Odds are, who knows what they are. Couldn't add them up. Yeah,
I think it'd be harder back then, though, too, given the tournament conditions, given the structure, given how many games were bowled. Like, I almost feel like it's way harder to do it back then than it would be at this point. Although now they don't have enough tournaments, but I don't know, man. I feel like.
Oh, do you know what I think about when you say that? I think about the era also. Forget about the 42 games a week. Forget about, the fall, winter, summer tours. Think about this, dude. Everybody used their thumb back then. and they're drilling into plastic balls, rubber balls. What's a thumb slug? What do you have? Do you even have bowler's tape? You're using probably Band-Aids to cover up legit.
Yes.
It shows who the best athlete was, really.
That's the stuff.
Well, there was no thumb slugs, no finger grips, no reps, no cores.
Well, you had to move your hand this way or this way to change the ball. You had to.
Yeah. You had to have hand position. You had to have speed control. You had to play loft. You had to be much more accurate. That is not a put down. I don't want anybody to think I'm saying that the bowlers from then were better than today. The bowlers just bowl.
But I think they are.
I know that. I know that. The bowlers just bowl. They walk in the bowling center, just bowl. The industry builds the balls and builds the lanes and comes up with the technology. But our job was to strike with what was out there, no different than today, right? So you look at the kids today, they're gifted. Some of these younger bowlers that I've seen make TV, the kids that won the World Series from different countries, out of this world, bowled great. And again, they're a product of their environment. They have today's equipment. They have reps. They think differently. The patterns break down differently. Obviously, we didn't have patterns. Nobody knew what a pattern was. What a woman used in a sewing machine when we were bowling. That's where patterns were. Patterns came out of a Singer sewing machine. But it's not a put down. It's just the nature of the sport. Yeah. I'll tell you one thing that people will never understand, and I'll tell you how remarkable it is that in 10 years, from 1974 to 1984, Earl Anthony and Mark Roth and Wayne Webb were the only bowler of the years. And Anthony had 6, Roth had 4, and Webb had 1. It was 3 bowler of the years in 11 years. Now all of a sudden, the years go by, we don't see it, and now all of a sudden, it's almost like it could happen again with Belmonte and Tackett. These 2 guys that can dominate with entirely different styles, like Roth and like Anthony. I look back at their battles, and I see them again here. It's this boy from Indiana is impressing me, like Mark in his heyday, like Johnny in his heyday, like Don Johnson in his heyday. He's gifted. He's a great champion. And we're lucky that a smaller man with his thumb in the ball can rev a ball like that in front of everybody, and where they realize, you can have your thumb and have 450 off your hand too, which is a great stat. The kid's great for bowling. Well, I'm really excited about next year with CBS coming in and CW. I was a little nervous that we wouldn't have national television. I was pretty mad about it. And then it looks like they went to work real quick and got it done. So thank God for that. I think it's going to be an exciting year next year. I'm hoping that the bowling makes a comeback, gets some new sponsors, and prize funds jump up, hopefully.
Deservedly so, too. My goosh. We talk about this, too, about how, they were rock stars in the 70s, even into the 80s, and then what did happen? And we always, the whole point of our channel originally was, how do we get it to where it can be again? And we don't have an answer. Not many people have an answer. There's trinkets of answers, but there's no true answer of, how it took off so good and how it fell off so bad. We know why that happened, but we don't know how to get it back on track.
Well, hopefully they've learned something here. Hopefully they can realize that they did something where they tried their heart out. It wasn't as good as it could have been. They got another chance at it. You got to be positive about it. They got to get support. People got to write in some ideas and thoughts. I think communication is very important from the public. And I'm behind them 100%. I look at it this way. There ain't nobody that doesn't want it on television. Obviously, the PBA wants it on. Clark wants it on. His staff wants it on. Bolero wants it on. Who wouldn't want it on? You have to be a sadistic imbecile to not want it on television. So, hopefully they'll put the pieces together and it'll rise again. I got to get back to my league here and my stream. They're looking at me, so I might have to run.
No problem. Larry, that's totally fine. But honestly, thank you so much for giving us your time tonight. It was Could listen to you all day, bro.
You guys are great. I love you for what you're doing. I'm glad, John, I'm glad to see you back. Ron Ocho, great job the last several years. Your show is different, but you guys are very good at it. You got a great audience and very enjoyable to watch. And I got to run. They're all looking for me.
Well, thank you, Larry, so much.
All right, gentlemen. Thank you. We'll see you soon. I'll come back anytime.
All right, sir.
All right, bye-bye.
Thanks, Mitch.
He should have given us a panorama view real quick of the bowling alley. I thought we were getting it.
Man, dude, that was so
when
good.
I was listening and he started talking about the lefties, I went and I wanted to see if he knew anything about Dad's of all the trophies and wins Dad has, if he ever saw Dad's most prized possession. So I went and grabbed it. This is when Dad won the MVP for the St. Bernadette Little League. Notice how the bat is missing. I don't know if that fell off 60 years later,
Probably
65 years later, or if he ripped it off so the batter's not right-handed. But whatever he did.
That could be. He's a lefty punting.
This is the MVP trophy for St. Bernadette's.
That's hilarious.
Does it have the year on it too, or no?
No, it just says St. Bernadette MVP.
All right. Well, when I struck out 11 batters in 6 innings and 10-year-old All-Stars in 1984, my plaque said 1984. FYI.
That's a great album, by the way, 1984. Last David Lee Roth album with Van Halen.
A year to the day that Dave Righetti threw his no-hitter against the Boston Red Sox.
Yeah.
That was what I was going to say, actually.
Yeah, it's a day I'd like to forget.
Just saying.
Yeah, that's
what can Ocho do?
What I texted you guys and said this is historic. Like watching Larry Litch and Johnny Sr. talk about the old days. Like you're not going to get that anywhere else. You're literally only going to get that here on Straight Up 5, and I have to thank you for that, Johnny.
We were scattered, but it's okay.
I've heard obviously the stories from both of their mouths a million times, several of which took place between me and Larry at the bar while he had his glass of Merlot, very much like my dad. But between my relationship with Michael growing up and me, Larry, and Dad and Michael all being lefty, I mean, there's automatically that you're already tighter when you're lefties and you're friends with other lefties. But Larry, I kind of took to Larry for similar reasons why I took to you two. I mean, anybody that knows Ocho, aside from the Twin Peaks and the James Vander Peaks, he's a wealth of knowledge about anything you talk to him about. Like, it's crazy for me to listen to somebody talk about bowling the way Litch does when I know bowling the way I do, and he hits every single nail on the head. People are always like, Johnny, how do you remember what ball or what shirt from this year? I'm like, yeah. Litchy just remembered that Dad made 8 out of 13 telecasts on the winter tour.
That was wild. Remembered the hugs.
He also knew the names of the bowling centers that he went 3 consecutive in. He also remembered, like, that's insane. The only thing I think he got wrong, if I really had to pick out anything about Litchy, is I think he said Tracy instead of Stacy when he was talking about Bob Learn's wife. Like, that's how intricately I was listening to him because he's so spot on. And it's like every single thing you know, every single thing that's coming out of his mouth, you know, is factual. And I also really, really like the idea that he he shared his personal stuff with us, that he basically went out on his own, as you know, I've been very public about on this show over the years as well. He flat out said, 78 months without having a glass of wine at that age, dude, that's badass. I don't care who you are. That's awesome.
True. I mean, usually at that point, you're like, fuck it, I made it this far.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's
but
like,
he had
shit.
some clarity about it, too.
And this is what Alex Bermuda said, our favorite ball driller from San Modesto. He's a Litchco jig on his Ovalmatic, and he got it from the Brunswick booth in 2014.
That literally sounds like porn. So,
we didn't get into that, but I mean, Larry's a pioneer in ball drilling, and we saw a little bit when he was on with Bo and Bo's tips of the pros. But Larry did a lot for the industry, which is why he had so much success.
Dude, I hope he made a shit ton of money. I mean, I'm not saying that because I hope all that shit that he worked for, because like he wasn't, he's not Belmo, you know what I mean? But like, I hope every fucking dime got. I hope he's a fucking millionaire right now.
Dude, think about it. First off, I know it's kind of a cliche to say because it's so played out, but They always say if you don't work a day in your life when you do something you love. So, I mean, for Litchy's entire life, he's made a life doing exactly what he loves.
He bought a fucking boss that did it. Like, how fucking badass is that?
I mean, dude, he woke up in 1975. He was a rookie in 1970, or so he's only been out there for 5 years or so. And all of a sudden, not only is he a PBA champion, but now he's the public relations director or whatever he was doing. And now he's like, oh, shit, supplement my income at the same time. I know what I'll do. I'll go out and I'll buy a Greyhound and convert it into a mobile home / drill station and become one of the most successful and basically the man who innovated the idea of the PBA truck that they still use today. I mean, so to live your life and then be on tour, be off tour, stay involved with the tour enough, drill for all the guys on tour. Now you have your live stream. He's at Lightning Strikes in Florida. His entire life he's dedicated to, and it's given back to him.
Yeah, but he's also gambled on himself, too. That first contract, are you shitting me? Like, okay, you double my winnings. You know, it's pretty hard to win out here, Litchy. I got you, but you'll double it, right? And yeah, sure enough, like that
caught me there because, like, when I think he had mentioned one contract where he said it was $5,000, and that's if you make a TV show,
if you
right?
Make a TV show, yeah. And then there was the $200 and the $300 ones, yeah.
I was like on the fence about that because I'm thinking about that time because a lot of events paid 10 grand. I know the TSC in 71 paid 25, but most of the events I think paid anywhere in the realm of like $6,000 to $8,000.
Did he mention it was like between a $6,000 or $8,000 thing where he could double it? Because I remember him saying $16,000 about something.
So right. So at that point, I'm thinking, well, if I've got, let's say, just the winter tour, and I've got 16 weeks, if I make 3 shows, that's 15 grand automatically. If they're all $6,000 events and I win them all, that's another 18. So to me, I would have had to decide if I was going to be risky. I probably would have taken the 5 grand on the chance of making a TV show. I wouldn't have taken the 300 and the equipment. I think that
he mentioned that. And again, you got to sit down. I guess he did the math and said, and also had the confidence to say, well, maybe I'll break through.
Yeah,
and then they say when he took second, he got 0. So like that's, I'm curious how the contracts would have ran per his career, like with what he won or how many televised shows he made, and like with what the $5,000 per TV show would have been. But
right.
Look, he didn't make a wrong decision. It seems. And
no.
Again, that was the Kickstarter because without that, he ain't buying that truck. He ain't going to be the drilling truck guy. So
yeah, true.
Alex, I know exactly what ball you're talking about, that thin orange stripe. I'm pretty sure that's an Amflight. I'm almost positive, but your guess is as good as mine. But I'm pretty positive you're right. The reason I asked Litch about then compared to now is because back then when Mike Litchy was winning the rollers and like obviously Rudy Revs, the Mike Newmans, the Paul Renterias, these were the guys that were winning when it was 100, 200 grand. And at that time, you also had the TAT, the True Amateur Tournament. You always had the International Eliminator, the Mini Eliminator. There were the Hoinky Classic. I can go on and on with the amount of megabuck events that were available, not to mention the World Team Challenges. And compared to the PBA Tour, you had a decision to make back then. Case in point, somebody like Robert Smith or a Tim Mack. They kind of chose the amateur route for a while. Robert Smith comes out the tournament at the AC Delta in 1994 as an amateur. Next thing you know, Robert goes on tour. Tim Mack stays amateur. That was the area in time where you could be like a Mike Newman or a Bill Hoffman. You could stay here or you could go out on tour with Couch and Parker. Nowadays, it's like, what do you do? Because there is no high roller. There is no megabucks. You got to hope you live geographically somewhere like Dave O'Sullivan's Peak Performance Pro Shop in Florida. Somewhere where you've got Dougie Heron with Dougie Vision. You need a good tournament director to even warrant the idea of not trying the tour or vice versa. That's why I was kind of like itching for him to give me a little bit more there, because what do you tell, say, the kids that are now like entering the college years, which has kind of been the path for the last 20? I mean, it's a tricky slope right now. I know I'm blabbering right now, but it's always intriguing talking to him.
No, it's all good. And definitely check out Lightning Strikes Bowl on Facebook. That's where Larry Litch is streaming from 4 days a week. He also streams certain tournaments on the weekends. And they have a big following when he goes live. He says for some tournaments he gets like 50,000 people watching live, which is pretty crazy. So they're also on YouTube. If you want to subscribe to Lightning Strikes on YouTube as well. But definitely, if you want to watch Larry Litch do commentary during leagues and tournaments, who better than him to break everything down? Because he's such a legend. So anybody on Facebook, please follow Lightning Strikes Bowl on Facebook and watch Larry Legend do his thing. Man, it was it was so cool watching him and your dad talk and just to see the chemistry that they have, the bond that they have. I mean, it really shows. Like, I know they've known each other since the late '60s.
Like they just had a conversation and picked it up right where they were like, "Hey, how you doing?" Remember, it's like us seeing it every week. Like, oh yeah, I'm talking this guy forever, but here you go, starting right up where you left off.
And he mentioned divine intervention, playing a part in his life. I mean, where else would he be able to bowl against his best friend for his, in the same tournament he won his first title, and then 2 weeks later, JP, bowls Larry again, and Johnny gets his first title. Like, the odds of that happening are, I don't even know. It's remarkable how their paths have just intertwined over the years. It's pretty cool.
The for lack of a better word, the intimacy of their friendship, and the fact that it's like I'm 40 and I've seen them converse with each other for 30 something years, and it's always the same. It's always the same. It's always the same tone, same demeanor. There's never really anything else going on other than what everybody just saw. And those are the kind of bonds that I really enjoy too. It really, everybody fucks up. Everybody has good days, bad days. But if you always have those few people that are always the exact same person when you're around them, they just make life easier. I could be bloated, purple, dead on a toilet face, and Ocho would look over my shoulder and say, "Bro, I just made nachos." Like that was the same as he would. Yeah,
I wouldn't make them. Quarantine lady would make them. So
yeah, exactly. But he's always had that relationship seemingly with everybody he's ever talked to, because look at the amount of relationships he's formed.
Yeah, I mean, Parker's the same way. Parker's one of those guys that could just, doesn't matter how long how long it's been since you've seen him or talked to him. He even mentioned, like, Parker, but we were sitting there at Christmas talking about bowling, and Parker happened to call. Like, it's people like that, dude, that are just treasured. Right, like, because you don't have many friendships like that. It's just that core small group that all of us have. One or two or three or four people that you could always count on, and that's us. That's me and Ocho for you, Johnny, and vice versa. We have a good bond. It's been almost 4 years that we've been doing this, and it's such a treat every single week to talk to some of the legends and. Larry's humble. Like, of course, he didn't have the bowling success that your dad had, and Earl and Albie and Parker and the rest of them, but he's still a legend to us. Like, everybody knows who Larry Lichstein is. Everybody, anybody who's involved in bowling has heard about Larry, and what he's done for the sport over the years. It's remarkable. That's why the PBA put him in the pioneer category in the Hall of Fame. The USBC did the same as well, and he's in the NEBA Hall of Fame. He's in the Connecticut Bowling Hall of Fame. Like, he's done so much for the sport. Like Tim Mack. Tim Mack doesn't get enough contribution for what he's done worldwide that people didn't even know about. And I loved his stories that he talked about when he was on the show about what he's done to grow the sport around the world. But what Larry's done here with his drilling and being a player rep, like, you'll never see that again. I don't think you'll ever see anybody with that single success doing what he loves, like you said, Johnny. You just don't get that anymore.
It's pretty special. I have to brag a little bit right now about myself. Yeah,
sure. Go ahead.
And obviously, everybody heard. Somebody made a post about our inflated averages on Tuesdays at Majestic. So. Our Tuesday night league in Majestic is a 440 team cap, so we came in just on the cap. And through the first 2 weeks, my partner and I was averaging 252 or 255. And my partner was averaging 249 or 248, something along those lines. Made it past that next week. My teammate shoots 990 on week 3, maintains his average. I bowl like 940. So I dropped to 249, and he's at 244. So everybody started saying, oh, shit, now the inflated averages are going down. Well, last night at League, I had to keep going with the insane amount of scoring at Majestic Lanes because it is now, in fact, my favorite place in the world. I bowled 1057 for 4 last night, increasing my average to 253.2 next week. And ironically enough, in my 1057, I only doubled in 1 out of 4 10th frames, Rob. 1. Think about that. Shit. Yeah, I went strike spare in the 10th frame the first game for 258 instead of 279. I had the front 9 the second game and split in the 10th for 265. Then the third game, I had 9 spare, all of them, 9 spare in the 9th. Did throw the double in the 10th, and then got 8 on the fill for 67. And then the last game went strike fast 8 in the 10th for another 267 after opening spare, and throwing all of them. So it very easily could have been a Bob Learn-esque type 1100 set for 4. But needless to say, the best part about it was me and my buddy Pete Savino did win 7-4, despite giving 110 pins collectively a game in a doubles league.
Holy shit, dude, that's crazy.
That's the horn toot for me. Actually, let me do the cock toot.
Everybody loves it when you
that's for my bowling.
Dude, that is the epitome of mop hoss. Seriously, that's that's
I would like to
for you,
thank
man.
Brunswick, Tommy Martino, Genesis, Vice. You guys are all great for my continued success on league night in the summer, and as well as Diet Coke.
Dude, I love it, dude. I love it, and I'm glad to see that you're doing well and you look healthy. You look really good. You look really, really good. And you have for the last few weeks, and I give you a lot of credit for that. I've told you offline, but I tell the world I'm proud of you for getting healthy.
Good support group, good people in my life. Things are going well. I'm genuinely happy. I definitely like who I have around me, and I'm where I'm supposed to be right now. And it's nice to wake up with a clear head every day and go do exactly what you're supposed to do. Rest easy at night, get my good 8 hours. Next thing, back in the gym, because unlike Ocho, who's blessed with amazing genetics, because it is actually, being a weightlifter, it really does bother me that his arms seemingly get bigger the less he does with them. Meanwhile, I turned from almost incredible hulkish to now I feel like Baby Bop from Barney. Or I like even Baby Bop was in better shape than me. I feel like Fat Bastard from The Spy Who Shagged Me. I do feel that as such.
Me too.
We're bigger now than when the show started.
They are, and he hasn't been in the gym.
Not even good lighting. He's like, it's not even reflecting off of the insertions, and they still look bigger. I mean, look, it's serious. It's upsetting. All right, end the show. Do you have it?
It is.
Hi, Amanda. Good to see you.
Hi, Amanda.
By the way, isn't our favorite festival coming up soon?
I don't know the dates, but I mean, yeah, you can't miss the fair in Union County, Illinois.
Jen is going to be in the Chicagoland area, so if this is landing in late July, I may have to make an appearance at the Union County Fair. Kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
Let me just look it up. Oh,
yeah, I need to know, because I have got to come home with at least a kitchen magnet. Or some of like the world, I'm assuming like the chili cook-off.
It's a 3D magnet too, so that's what's even more fun.
That's the best part.
August 15th to the 23rd. Here, I'll show it on the screen. They don't have the same logo anymore, which is sad.
I wonder why.
Well,
I don't know. I don't get it.
They must have watched
it either.
Up 5 unfettered.
Hold on, let me
no neck
here.
Rob.
Shut up, dude. Why?
Should we stop calling you No Neck Rob? Like, should we call? And I am No Neck Rob Francois.
We got the Union County Fair in Anna, Illinois, August 15th through the 23rd. It's the 144th annual. Holy shit!
Annual.
Yeah.
Annual?
If you want to be the queen of the Union County Fair, you can sign up for that. Applications are ready.
I already have a contestant picked out.
Yes, and there you go. That's the logo that we're always going to use.
That's why they want a queen, because the queen's got to take that.
Nothing compares to the Union County. Seriously, how did that pass the art department? How are they like, yeah, that's a banger.
Look.
Well, it's the 10 other people that chose it good, too. They were like, okay, let's try this one. And everyone's like, yep, I'm okay with it. That's good.
We're still talking about it, so marketing did their job.
It might be. That's a good point.
Michael Junker. We're about to wrap up.
Marketing they have.
Mike,
like, why are all these bowlers showing up here? They're like, oh, well, we saw this giant tecker with a freaking hay bale as ball.
That's true.
I do.
Yeah.
Mike, it's summertime. Michael Junker, it's summertime. You got to start sending me the info for the golf outings, bro. I haven't touched my clubs this year.
C&Bs. Rudy knows what's up. C&Bs.
The Revs.
Yeah, the old C&Bs.
Do we have any assholes this week?
Nah, we're gonna skip. We're gonna skip that. It's
you guys got to wish me luck then, because I saw him in the chat earlier, Dougie Vision. First off, Dougie, you looked gorgeous rocking that crown in the crowd at the PBA Tour Finals. I know you guys saw that. That's who was in our chat. Looking forward. I just booked my hotel room for Bowlerama weekend in Delaware, bowling Dougie's Rep Your Set tournament on the 28th, and then the Anchor Lady Trio with our badass Stephanie Casey in the 3-hole on Sunday. So looking forward to 2 nice tournaments coming up, and then I think my last match of the season for UBA with the good old Goon Squad at Jersey Lanes this weekend.
Awesome. Well, good luck, dude. Not that you need it because you're awesome, but good luck anyway. Next week, we don't ever announce our guests in ahead of time, but we do have a guest for next week. It's this guy.
I do.
The one and only Kyle Troop is coming back on the show. He was a surprise guest during Johnny's 40th birthday party. But now he's going to be on the show as an official guest. I have to make a 14-minute video for his highlight package. But no, we're looking forward to having Kyle.
Because Rob filibusters.
But special programming note, it's going to be next Friday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. We won't be here on Wednesday because Kyle bowls on Wednesday nights. Johnny bowls on Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday. So we're making an exception here. We're going to have the show on Friday night, in primetime on Friday night. Next Friday night, Kyle Troop will be on the show, and we're looking forward to that. Kyle is he leads off our show every single week. He has the best soundbite in the world.
I do.
And we're going to play that a million times when he's on, and hopefully he doesn't get pissed. And it's going to be a great show. So thanks again to Larry Litch for coming on tonight. Larry Legend, Larry Lichstein was always it's always great to have somebody of his stature on the show, and we'll get him on again, because he still has a ton of stories that we can go through. So, Johnny Ocho, appreciate you guys as always. Another banger of a show, episode 160 next week. Kyle Troop, next Friday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. Same bat time, same bat channel, different bat day. All right, I'm out of here. Good night, everybody. We appreciate everybody. Peace.
I do.
I do.
Good night, everybody.
I do.
Thanks for listening to this edition of Straight Up 5 with Johnny Petraglia Jr. You can follow the show on Twitter at Straight Up 5 Pod. Follow Johnny Jr. at JPJR07. Follow Rad Rob at Rad Rob Gaming. And follow Dr. Ocho at the Dr. Ocho. Got a question for Johnny? Send your questions to straightup5podcast@gmail.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Straight Up 5 with Johnny Petraglia Jr. Right here on the Rad Rob Radio Network.